Welcome to Devon's Comics Adventure channel. In this video we are going to talk about the top 10 most expensive comic books. So before starting this video, please hit the like button, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for future updates. On Thursday, February 18, 2016, Heritage Auctions held a comics and comic art signature sale in Dallas where they auctioned off a certified guarantee company, CGC, ranked 9.4 copy of Amazing Fantasy number 15. It was supposed to fetch a high price, as one of the highest graded prints of Spider-Man first appearance ever sold at a public auction. Indeed, it set a record when it sold for $454,100. That is the highest price ever paid at a public auction for a Spider-Man comic book. I remember thinking that is a lot of money. The following is a list of the top 10 most lucrative comic book sales of all time broken down by title. Hope you enjoy the video. Number 10. Incredible Hulk, number 1 CGC 9.2, $326,000. Perhaps the hottest collectible comic book in recent years, has been the Incredible Hulk's first appearance in this 1962 Stan Lee and Jack Kirby comic book. There is only one known copy that is rated higher than the 9.2 sold in August 2014. This sale comes on the heels of another 9.2 copy selling for $320,000 in June. Yes, twice in the space of a few months fans paid more than $300,000 for the Hulk's debut appearance. This dramatic increase in price has resulted in a flood of additional copies of the comic entering the market, with prices increasing 4 copies in a variety of conditions. Number 9. All American Comics number 16 minus $200,000. All American Comics number 16 sold for an astounding $203,150 in 2013. Originally published in 1940, the book features Alan Scott, aka the Golden Age Green Lantern, in his first appearance and origin story. Due to the popularity of the Green Lantern, his appearance in this issue greatly increases the price. Number 8. Captain America Comics number 1, CGC 9.2, $343,057. The first issue of Joe Simon and Jack Kirby's Captain America comics, which shows their creation punching the leader of a nation with which the United States was not at war at the time. The comic became a phenomenon, earning the two young Jewish comic creators death threats. This copy was purchased in 2011. Number 7. Marvel Comics number 1, CGC 9.0, $350,000. At the turn of the 21st century, the emergence of the comic book grading industry fueled the recent explosion in the comic book auction market. Thus, it is important to note that Marvel Comics number 1, the first comic book released by the company, that would later become Marvel Comics, as well as the first appearances of Namor and the original Human Torch, is ranked this low on the list solely because the highest graded copy sold is a mere 9.0. Prices usually double for every 0.2 increment following a 9.0. When you consider that this copy was sold in 2003, a higher graded copy of this comic will almost certainly end up at the top of this list. Similarly, All American Comics number 16, the first appearance of Green Lantern, is not even on the top 10 list, but when the next 9.0 or better copy becomes available, it almost certainly will end up very high. Though I have seen references to a copy of this book being sold for $367,000, no credible sources have established that such a sale occurred. Number 6. Tales of Suspense number 39, CGC 9.6, $375,000. In terms of grading, Jack Kirby and Stan Lee's Tales of Suspense number 39, which features the first appearance of Iron Man, is a prime example of the impact of a high grade on significant collectibles. This 2012 sale almost certainly benefited from the increased popularity of Iron Man movies. Number 5. Xmen number 1, CGC 9.8, $492,937.50. In 2012, the first issue of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby's Xmen series, which is the highest graded book on this top 10 list, was sold for a surprising amount, especially knowing the previous copy sold had a 9.6 rating, and went for slightly less than half the price of this copy. Number 4. Batman number 1, CGC 9.2, $567,625. A spirited bidding war in 2013 resulted in this classic comic book, the first issue of Batman's ongoing series, and the first appearances of both the Joker and Catwoman, breaking the $500,000 mark and becoming one of the very few comic books in history to do so. Number 3. Detective Comics number 27, CGC 8.0, $1,075,000. which contains the first appearance of Batman, is only the third-ranked book on this list despite having previously set the record for the most expensive comic book of all time when it sold in late 2010. This is because no copy of Detective Comics number 27 ever sold has had a rating of more than an 8.0 lately. The Church Collection copy is ranked 8.5 and has not been offered for sale since 1994, when it fetched $125,000. There are a few 9.0 copies and above floating about, and if they ever came to market they will fetch significantly more than $1,075,000. There is a compelling argument to be made that a fictional 9.2 Detective Comics number 27 is the world's most valuable comic book. Number 2, Amazing Fantasy number 15 CGC 9.6, $1,100,000. We can argue about the relative value of comic books until the cows come home, but when these items go to auction, you never know what people would offer and sometimes the results surprise you, as with this copy of Amazing Fantasy number 15 by Steve Ditko and Stan Lee, the first appearance of Spider-Man, which sold for more than $1 million in 2011. Experts anticipated a very high number, but given that the previous record for a Silver Age comic book was less than $300,000, this comic selling for over $1 million was quite a surprise. Number 1, Action Comics number 1 CGC 9.0, $3,207,852. Seen by many as the holy grail of comic book collectibles, although, as previously stated, one might argue that Detective Comics number 27 is the real holy grail of comic book collectibles. If you rank the top individual sale of comic books, Action Comics number 1, featuring the debut of Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster's historic Superman, is by far the most notorious. While the owner will not get it graded, it is anecdotally rated at a 9.2. What do you think about this video? Which of the following top 10 most expensive comic books you find most interesting, and wish you could get your hands on? Let us know down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from us again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.